So last week I'm having coffee with a friend, let's call him Mike, and he's complaining about how he can't seem to save money. Classic situation, right? But then he casually mentions he just dropped $180 on brunch with his girlfriend because everyone in their friend group goes to this place on Sundays. $180 on brunch. And here's the kicker, he said it like it was the most normal thing in the world. Because to him, it was normal. That's what everyone around him was doing. And that's when it hit me, Mike's biggest financial problem wasn't his salary, wasn't his budget spreadsheet, wasn't even his lack of financial knowledge. It was sitting right across from him every Sunday morning, ordering the truffle eggs. My name is Elon Musk, and I spend way too much time thinking about how the people around us completely reshape our relationship with money in ways we don't even recognize. If you're someone who feels like you're making decent money, but somehow it keeps disappearing, or you find yourself spending on things you don't even really want just because everyone's doing it, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Because today we're going to talk about something that almost nobody in the personal finance space wants to address directly. Your friends might be bankrupting you. Here's the thing, we love to talk about budgeting, compound interest, investment strategies, all of that. But there's this massive force shaping your spending habits that operates completely under the radar. And it's not your lack of willpower. It's not your shopping addiction. It's the social environment you're swimming in every single day. Look, there was a study done by the Federal Reserve Bank of Philadelphia that tracked consumer behavior, and they found something absolutely wild. When your friends buy a car, you're 57% more likely to buy a car within the next few months. Not because you need one, not because you suddenly got a raise, but because someone in your social circle bought one. Let that sink in for a second. A 57% increase in probability. That's not a small nudge, that's a complete reshape of your decision-making process. But it gets even more interesting. Researchers have found that if your friend becomes obese, your chance of becoming obese increases by 57%. If your friend gets divorced, you're 75% more likely to get divorced. Your social circle doesn't just influence what you think, it literally rewires what feels normal to you. And money is exactly the same way. Here's what most people don't realize, you don't have a spending problem, you have a baseline problem. Let me explain what I mean. Imagine you grew up in a household where eating out meant McDonald's once a month as a special treat. Your baseline for normal restaurant spending might be, I don't know, $50 a month. That feels comfortable. That feels right. Now you get your first real job, you move to a new city, and you start making friends with people who grew up differently. They think nothing of dropping $40 on a casual dinner. 2 drinks, an appetizer to share, tip, boom, $40 Tuesday night, no big deal. At first, you might feel uncomfortable. That little voice in your head says, this is expensive. But here's where it gets really interesting. That voice gets quieter every single time because your brain is doing something called social norming. It's constantly looking around, asking, what does everyone else think is normal? And then it adjusts your baseline to match. Give it 6 months and suddenly you're the one suggesting the $40 dinner spot. And you don't even remember deciding that this was okay. Your baseline just shifted. I've seen this happen with everything. Vacations, weddings, cars, clothes, coffee. There was this couple I know, let's call them Sarah and Tom, who moved from a small town in Ohio to San Francisco for work. In Ohio, they were saving about $1,500 a month on a combined income of $85,000. Not bad, right? They moved to San Francisco, get new jobs, combined income jumps to $160,000. You'd think they'd be saving way more, right? Wrong. 3 years later, they're saving $800 a month, less than they were saving before, even though they're making almost twice as much. What happened? Their entire social circle changed. Suddenly, everyone around them is talking about the weekend trip to Napa, the new climbing gym membership, the $8 lattes, the DoorDash habit because who has time to cook? All these little things that everyone around them treats as baseline necessities. And here's the math that should terrify you. If your baseline spending increases by just $500 a month, which is absolutely nothing in some cities, that's like 2 dinners out and a couple of that $6,000 a year. Over a decade, that's $60,000, invested at a modest 7% return. You just lost $165,000 of your future retirement money. From your friends being normal. Now you might be thinking, okay, but I'm not just mindlessly copying my friends. I make my own decisions. Do you, though? Because there's this psychological phenomenon called the effect, named after this 18th century French philosopher who wrote an essay called Regrets on Parting with My Old Dressing Gown. Basically, someone gave him this beautiful scarlet dressing gown as a gift, fancy stuff. But then he noticed his desk looked shabby next to this gown. So he bought a new desk, but then his chairs didn't match the desk. So he bought new chairs, then the curtains looked cheap. He ended up replacing almost everything in his study because one item raised the baseline and everything else had to come up to match it. Your social circle does the exact same thing to your spending. One friend buys a house in a nice neighborhood. Suddenly your apartment feels inadequate. Another friend starts going to this trendy gym. Now your Planet Fitness membership feels like you're cheating yourself. Someone gets engaged with a ring that costs 3 months' salary. Yeah, that's a marketing myth created by beers in the 1930s, but that's a whole other video. And now there's a new baseline for how much you should spend to prove you really love someone. I've watched this destroy people financially. There's this guy I knew from college, smart guy, engineer, making probably $95,000 a year, solid income. He was saving about $20,000 a year, really building wealth. Then he started hanging out with this new group of friends, mostly people working in tech and finance, making $150,000 plus. Within 2 years, he'd bought a new car 35000 because his old looked embarrassing in his friend's driveway. Started going on group trips to Bali, Portugal 4000 to $5,000 per trip 2 or 3 times a year. Moved to a bigger apartment closer to where his friends lived. Rent went up $600 a month. His income didn't change, but his savings rate dropped from $20,000 a year to basically zero. And when I talked to him about it, he genuinely didn't understand what happened, because to him, all these purchases felt justified. Everyone around him was doing the same thing. This was just normal life. Let me show you the actual math of how this plays out, because I think seeing the numbers makes this real. Let's say you're 28 years old making $75,000 a year. You've got a solid budget, you're saving $1,000 a month, investing it in a low-cost index fund. You're on track. By age 65, with a 7% average annual return, you're going to have about $2.1 million. You're going to retire wealthy. Good job. But then your social circle shifts. Maybe you get a promotion, start hanging out with higher earners. Maybe you move cities. Maybe you just naturally drift toward people who spend more freely. Your lifestyle creeps up by $500 a month, that's it. You're still saving $500 a month, you're not irresponsible, but half your previous savings is now going to maintaining this new baseline. An extra nice dinner each week, better coffee, nicer clothes because everyone at your office dresses well. Maybe you upgrade your car a little earlier than planned. $500 a month, how much does this cost you? By age 65, instead of $2.1 million, you have $1.05 million. You just cut your retirement fund in half, not from being reckless, not from gambling it away or making stupid investment decisions, from being normal in a slightly more expensive social circle. And here's where it gets really dark. If your lifestyle creeps up by $1,000 a month, which is honestly easy to do if you're making decent money and everyone around you is spending freely, you're not saving anything anymore. You might even be going into debt, and that $2.1 million retirement, it's gone, completely gone. This is why some people making $200,000 a year feel broke, while others making $60,000 feel financially secure. It's not the income, it's the baseline. It's the invisible pressure of trying to keep up with the spending patterns of whoever you happen to be surrounded by. Look, I'm not saying your friends are bad people. I'm not saying you should dump everyone and go live in a cave, but we need to talk about something I call the friendship tax. Every social circle has an implicit cost to maintain membership. Sometimes it's obvious, like if your friends love golf and you hate golf, but you pay for the country club membership anyway because that's when everyone hangs out. Sometimes it's subtle, like everyone in your friend group values travel, so there's this unspoken expectation that you'll go on the annual group trip, even if you'd rather save that $3,000. And here's the uncomfortable truth. The wealthier your friends are, the higher the friendship tax. There was this study from Ohio State University that found that lottery winners, people who suddenly came into money, were significantly more likely to go bankrupt than non-winners. And one of the biggest reasons, social pressure. When you win the lottery, suddenly everyone around you knows you have money. Friends want to borrow. Family needs help. There's pressure to pick up the check, to be generous, to live up to this new status. But you don't have to win the lottery to experience this. If you're the one in your friend group making the least money, you know this pressure. Every group dinner, you're doing the mental math. Can I afford this? Every vacation invite, you're either declining and feeling left out or accepting and blowing your budget. And if you're the one making the most money, the pressure goes the other direction. You feel weird suggesting the cheap option. You don't want to look stingy. So you end up subsidizing the group lifestyle even when you prefer to save. Now you might be thinking, this is so cynical. Real friends wouldn't pressure you like this. And you're right, real friends wouldn't. But here's the thing, they don't have to deliberately pressure you. Your own brain does it for them. It's that same social norming effect. You pressure yourself to keep up because falling behind feels like social death. This is where I need to get a little real with you, because this next part is probably going to sting. We live in the most comparison-heavy environment in human history. Your grandparents compared themselves to maybe 50 people, neighbors, family, you. You're comparing yourself to thousands of people every single day through social media. And the thing is, you're not even comparing yourself to real people. You're comparing your entire messy, complicated life to everyone else's highlight reel. You see your friends' vacation photos. You see their new apartment. You see them at that fancy restaurant. You don't see their credit card debt. You don't see them fighting with their partner about money. You don't see the anxiety they feel every time they check their bank account. There was a study by the University of Copenhagen that found that people who used Facebook regularly experienced Facebook envy and felt significantly less satisfied with their lives. But here's the crazy part. When they quit Facebook for just 1 week, their life satisfaction scores went up and their feelings of envy dropped dramatically. 1 week. But it's not just Facebook. It's Instagram, it's Tik, it's every platform where people are constantly broadcasting their consumption. And your brain interprets all of this as information about what's normal. So you see 10 friends post about their tropical vacation, 3 with new cars, 5 acquaintances at Michelin-starred restaurants, and your brain goes, "Oh, I guess this is what people do. This is normal. I should probably be doing this too." Never mind that those 10 friends might have put the vacation on credit cards. Never mind that those 3 might be drowning in car payments. Never mind that those 5 people at fancy restaurants might be eating ramen the rest of the month. All you see is the consumption, and your baseline shifts accordingly. Here's what most people don't realize about this social spending trap. It's not just that you're spending more money. It's that you're locking yourself into a lifestyle that becomes harder and harder to escape. Let me tell you about this couple, Amy and Jason. They were making about $140,000 combined when they moved to a nice suburb, bought a house at the top of their budget because everyone in this neighborhood has nice houses. They joined the country club because that's where their neighbors socialized. They sent their kids to the expensive because that's where all the other kids from the neighborhood went. Then Jason lost his job. Suddenly they're down to one income, about $70,000, and they're stuck. They can't easily sell the house, moving costs, market conditions, it's complicated. They can't pull their kids out of mid-year. They've already paid the annual country club dues. Their social life is entirely built around activities and places that cost money. They built a life that requires $140,000 to maintain, and now they're trying to do it on half that. This is what I call lifestyle lock-in, and it's one of the most dangerous financial positions you can be in. Because here's the thing, life changes, jobs end, health issues happen, recessions come. If you built your entire life around spending at the top of your income level, pushed there by social pressure and baseline creep, you have zero cushion. You're one bad break away from financial disaster. And this, more than anything else, is why social spending is so dangerous. It's not just that you're spending more money. It's that you're building a fragile life that can shatter the moment things don't go perfectly. Okay, so we've established the problem. Your social circle is quietly reshaping your financial future. Now what? First, you need to audit your social spending, and I mean really audit it. Go through your last 3 months of expenses and highlight every purchase that was socially motivated. Not the things you genuinely wanted for yourself, but the things you bought or did because of social pressure or social norming. That group dinner where you weren't even hungry, that vacation you couldn't really afford, that wedding gift that was more expensive than you wanted to spend because you knew what everyone else was spending, that concert you didn't care about but went to anyway because everyone was going. Add it up, I guarantee it's going to be way more than you think. For most people I've had do this exercise, it's between 20–40% of their discretionary spending. Second, you need to consciously choose your exposure. This is going to sound harsh, but you need to be strategic about who you spend time with and in what contexts. If you have friends who only want to hang out at expensive restaurants, suggest alternatives, coffee, walks, cooking at home, game nights. If they're real friends, they'll be fine with it. If they're not, well, you just learned something valuable about that relationship. I'm not saying cut people off. I'm saying be intentional about not putting yourself in situations where there's constant pressure to spend. Third, find or create a financial peer group. This is huge. You need people in your life who are on the same financial page as you. People who think saving 25% of your income is normal. People who get excited about their investment returns. People who can have fun without spending money. Look, there's a reason Alcoholics Anonymous works. It's not just the program, it's the peer group. It's being surrounded by people who share your values and your goals. Money is the same way. If everyone around you is prioritizing financial independence, that becomes your new baseline. Fourth, practice what I call values-based spending. Before any significant purchase, ask yourself, am I buying this because I genuinely want it and it aligns with my values, or am I buying this because of social pressure? If it's the latter, don't buy it, even if saying no feels awkward, even if you feel like you're missing out. The FOMO is temporary, the financial damage is permanent. And fifth, this is the big one, you need to get comfortable being different. You need to get comfortable with your friends having nicer cars, bigger houses, fancier vacations. You need to kill your ego's need to keep up. Because here's the ultimate truth, you can look rich or you can be rich. You very rarely get to do both, especially early in your financial journey. Look, I know this whole video might make it sound like I'm telling you to become a hermit, and never spend money on social activities. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that your social circle is the most powerful financial force in your life that you never consciously chose. And if you don't take control of it, it will take control of you. Your friends shouldn't be making your financial decisions. You shouldn't be setting your spending baseline. Instagram shouldn't be defining what your life needs to look like. You get one life, one shot at building real wealth. And every dollar you spend trying to impress people or keep up with people or just maintain some arbitrary baseline of normal is a dollar that's not working for your actual future. Here's what I want you to understand. Financial independence isn't about the math. I mean, yes, it's about the math, compound interest, savings rates, investment returns, but those are just tools. The real battle is psychological. It's about whether you have the strength to live differently from the people around you. And most people don't. Most people surrender to the social current and let it carry them wherever it goes. They make $50,000 and spend $50,000. Then they make $100,000 and spend $100,000. Then they make $150,000 and somehow still feel broke because the baseline just keeps rising to meet the income. They get to retirement age and they look around and wonder where all the money went. And the answer is, it went to being normal. It went to not standing out. It went to maintaining membership in social circles that were quietly expensive. Don't let that be you. So here's your homework. I want you to do that spending audit I mentioned. 3 months of expenses. Highlight everything that was socially motivated. Add it up. Then multiply by 4 to get your annual social spending tax. Then multiply that by 10 and imagine what your life would look like if you had that money. Would it change anything? Would it give you options you don't currently have? Because that's what this is really about. It's not about being cheap. It's not about never having fun. It's about buying your freedom. It's about making sure that you're spending your money on your values, not someone else's. The people who win with money aren't the ones making the most. They're the ones who figured out how to build a life they love that costs less than they make. And that's almost impossible to do if you're letting your social circle dictate your spending. So choose your circles carefully, guard your baseline fiercely, and remember, the goal isn't to look rich, the goal is to be free. If this video helped you see your spending in a new light, hit that thumbs up button and subscribe for more content like this. Drop a comment and let me know what your biggest social spending trap is. I read all of them, and it helps me know what to cover next. Now go audit those expenses. Your future self will thank you.